Welcome to the Rested Garden. It's November 4th and I just wanted to give you a tour of my garden. October has been exceptionally warm, and one of the problems with a warm fall in areas that typically should be getting a frost by now is the insects just went crazy. These were covered, these are radishes, they were covered in green cabbage loopers, did a lot of devastation. Aphids went crazy, fungus gnats came in, and because we didn't get the cold weather, the light frost, the life cycle, I guess, of these insects didn't get disrupted, and they're just going crazy in my garden. What happens is the good insects, I guess, sense that the temperatures are changing, they leave, do whatever they do, but the problematic insects took over. Now they're under control now. We did get a frost about a week ago, so some changes are starting to happen, but my cool weather crops really struggled. Here's some remnants from a video. Real quick, that is Selway lettuce that, because we got cool nights over the last week, a couple cool nights, it's turned that beautiful bronze color. Well, I should say ruby mahogany color. And it's a delicious lettuce. I highly recommend it. Down here, anybody know what that damage is? That's from a squirrel coming through and just eating all the remaining tomatoes. And because we haven't really had a hard frost, these tomatoes survived. The light one, I was surprised. But I've been still getting tomatoes, except this single squirrel, maybe two, are coming to eat them. Now, if you have squirrel problems, catch and release. Last spring, I caught several of them in a catch and release trap and released them into the woods, and they did perfectly fine. I don't want to do that now because I sort of feel like squirrels are building nests and getting ready for hibernation. So if I move the squirrel, I'm afraid it won't survive. Looking in here, this is pretty much devastated by the green cabbage looper. The broccoli looks okay, but most of my broccoli cauliflower started to turn to flowering heads. It didn't really create a nice head for me to cut yet because we were getting 80-degree days, so it was confused. And the cool weather crops, broccoli, cauliflower, and just need nice cool temperatures to really form nice cauliflower and broccoli heads. Container gardening going okay. Squirrels, I don't know if you can see, all these holes in there are squirrels digging it up. And again, I'm hoping it's just one or two and not a whole family that moved in. Herbs look great, all that kind of stuff. Here's a nice devastation. These were covered in aphids, some other insect I couldn't identify, green cabbage looper, and it's just, look, this one's still getting chewed down. Got tired of spraying, get a little burned out after gardening, for the whole season, and I really just wanted the cool weather to come in, grow awesome greens, and just enjoy, the rest of the fall that way. This flower box is endive red romaine. It's doing pretty well. I just planted that maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. When you come across here, these plants have been in here 6 weeks, maybe a little bit longer. That one's a little bit bigger. Fungus gnats came into here and just devastated the root systems of the plants here. Now this might, you look at this and say, hey, it's growing pretty well, but that's 6 weeks of growth. The fungus gnats chew the roots of your plants and it really keeps them small, sort of like bonsai. This one was left alone, but because of the heat, it started to bolt, so I never got a full head. Although you can eat the lettuce, never got a nice size head of red romaine. You can also grow radishes in containers. Here are a couple beautiful radishes that are going to be coming out. Again, fungus gnats. These plants, same size as these. This whole box was devastated by the gnats chewing on the bottom, but vegetables want to grow, a garden wants to give, so you still get some nice crops even if you get problematic insects. Here's a good example of what's happening to most of my broccoli. Again, warm weather, so you take what you can. It's a blessing for the peppers this year. I'm still getting them. The green beans are still producing. These have been producing since, I don't know, early June. But it's just crazy. All right, let's go down to the lower garden. Container eggplant. If you've been watching my videos, you've heard me talk about these and how I planted them. Still growing, still flowering. Those are miniature eggplant right in there. There's actually, you can harvest them and lightly fry them. A nice panko, they do really well. There's a larger eggplant right back there. There's probably some growing on here because of the warm weather. The warm weather crops are doing pretty good. Look at the peppers. Ghost peppers, I'm sorry, not ghost peppers, facing heaven peppers back there. Cayenne peppers. dropping down in there, I can still pull out some jalapenos, habaneros. Let's come over here. The American flag leeks are doing really well. I have them throughout my garden. Back in here, that's borage. That just went crazy. It's self-seeded from what I planted in September. I'm sorry, planted back in April and May, reseeded, and just took off, during this warm spell for fall. Bees love it. It's a great herb to grow if you want to attract pollinators and if you want to feed the pollinators in your garden. All right, let's keep going down this way. Some beat up tomatoes. These cherries might make it. That's a glacier variety. Lots of green tomatoes I'm going to be pulling out probably this week and making some kind of pickled green tomatoes. Look at just crazy disease. Now, typically during spring and summer I spray regularly. I can take care of it, but this year I was just hoping for what always happens is the frost comes lightly, kills out the insects. These kind of grow on their own, and I just haven't had time to really stay up on it. I get a little burned out after gardening, through January into August and kind of like September to be relaxed. Broccoli, this is what's happening to it. And you can see lots of stuff overgrown, dying out. Look, still got tomatoes in there. I mean, that's a blessing because I do really come out, grab tomatoes, make salads, all kinds of stuff. Here's a nice frame that's going to be dropped down. But typically by this point, all these beds are pulled out. I'm getting them ready for hibernation, so to speak, putting them to sleep for the late fall, winter, and getting them set up so come spring I can just plant right in there. Let's go cross over to here. See, the peppers are still kicking. More leeks back there, blueberry bushes behind the leeks, they're doing really well. And here's my cool weather area that's not doing so bad. In the ground they're doing a little bit better. Mustard greens, I've been eating that. That is a Chinese cabbage right there that's flowering. You can eat the flowers, but again, that started bolting. It never headed well because of the warm weather that we were getting. I've been growing lots of radishes. This bit of chaos right here is because the squirrels, these were all planted about an inch or two apart, but the squirrels came in right in here and just ate the radishes. So this chicken wire keeps it away. I'm going to lift that up soon. I want to show you the radishes I planted a couple weeks before the ones I just showed you. They're ready to get pulled out, so that's wonderful. Nice size radishes in there. A little bit of damage from slugs and snails, but that's okay. I've been eating out of this garden. Even the asparagus got fooled into thinking it was spring again. I don't know, I didn't want to harvest them because I want these to kind of grow through, get the sunlight, recharge up the root system, and come next spring they should be stronger and I'll get more asparagus spears out of there. Now moving over to this side, I've got green bean plants that are still growing. These are Asian wing beans and they are just starting to get flowers. These have been growing for months. They do like the cool weather. They're really hard for me to grow over here, and even though they're starting to flower now, I don't think I'm going to get any because I think the frost is truly going to roll in soon. This is a okra plant that got so large it fell over. It flowers, and then you eat the smaller seed pods that grow. These pods here are too big. I'm letting them go to seed. I'm going to collect seed. Same with these larger green ones. That was all okra. This one's edible size right here. This one's not, but you want to get them when they're about 2 inches. They're nice and tender. Coming up this way, my fig plant is starting to brown out. That's perfectly normal, but it was extremely productive this year because I wrapped it up. And here's an example of a great looking fig that I'll take now, eat for breakfast. There's more up there. And figs are actually inverted flowers. So when you collect them, you may have some black ants or something in there. That's perfectly normal. Just break it open, check to see what's in there. And then the one last tip is, let's go up there to my flower beds. One last tip is really setting your beds up using your green grass, your leaves, and saving yourself some money. So one tip if you want to add organic matter to your garden is to and I'm in Maryland Zone 7, so I get 5 months of dormant beds, and you really want to do this where your beds are going to be sitting 4, 5, 6 months before you start planting again in the spring. I let the grass kind of grow up through October, let the leaves fall, come in with a lawnmower, bag it, cut the grass, chop it up into pieces, dump the bag out again, chop it up again, and then take what's in the bag and just mix it into your garden beds about 12 inches deep. Just, incorporate it well throughout the soil. This will supply organic matter to your beds. Some of it will decay and break down. It'll give up its nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, other nutrients for your garden. The worms will eat it. The soil biology, the microbiology will start breaking it down. And it's just a wonderful, cheap way to put organic matter in your garden beds, save you some money, and bring nutrition to your beds. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please check out my blog at www.therustedgarden.com. And I wish you a wonderful November. Hope your garden is still producing, and I'm looking forward to next year. We're going to start in January with seed starting indoors.